The day I understood what true treachery feels like. I was sitting at our mahogany dining table surrounded by college acceptance letters. Harvard, Stanford, MIT. Their distinguished letterheads were spread before me like falling leaves. My hands trembled as I held the last one, from Princeton. Their words of congratulations blurred through my tears. Mom, Dad, I got in. I got into Princeton. My voice echoed through our vast Victorian home, a residence that had witnessed 3 generations of Montgomery family success. My mother's heels clicked against the hardwood floor as she approached, her face showing an expression I couldn't quite read. Behind her, my father's heavy footsteps followed, his usual confident pace, somehow hesitant. "That's excellent, Catherine," my mother murmured, but her tone held none of the excitement I'd expected. She exchanged a look with my father, who cleared his throat and loosened his silk tie. "Sit down, Kathy. We need to talk." I sank back into my chair, the acceptance letter still clutched in my palms. Something in their demeanor twisted my stomach into knots. "Your brother, William," my father began. "His tech startup is showing amazing promise. The gadget he's designed could transform green energy storage." He paused, adjusting his glasses. "Yet he needs significant funds to take it to the next level." My mother stepped forward, her manicured fingers drifting along the edge of the table. "We've decided to invest in his enterprise. It's a wonderful chance, one that might secure the family's future for generations." "That's excellent," I replied, though uncertainty was creeping into my voice. "But what about my college tuition? The fund you've been saving since I was born?" The silence that followed felt like a solid weight pushing down on my chest. "Catherine," my father said firmly, "using my full name, never a good sign. We've taken the decision to utilize your college fund to support William's venture. It's what's best for the family." The world seemed to tilt. "What? But that was my money. You promised—" "Don't be selfish, Catherine," my mother cut in sharply. "William's project could be worth millions. You can take out student loans like everyone else. Or maybe consider a nearby community college for a few years." I stared at them, these people who had raised me, who had always preached the importance of education, who had spent years nurturing my dreams of attending an Ivy League institution. Now they stood before me, methodically dismantling those dreams, to benefit my brother. Again. William had always been their golden boy, 4 years older than me. He'd dropped out of college to chase his entrepreneurial dreams. While I spent my high school years maintaining a flawless GPA, serving as class president, and winning national science contests, William bounced from one failed startup to the next, each time enticing our parents to invest just a bit more. "How much?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. My father frowned. "How much of my college fund did you give him?" My mother shifted, uncomfortable. "All of it. The entire $289,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. Nearly $300,000. Gone. Every birthday check from grandparents, every summer job dollar, every cent saved for my future, handed over to William without a second thought." I jumped up so fast my chair screeched backwards. "Did you even consider asking me? It's my money." "Catherine Elizabeth Montgomery," my father thundered. "That is enough. This decision is final. William's project needs this investment. And, as part of this family, you need to support what's best for everyone." "Best for everyone?" I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. "Or best for William?" "Your brother has vision," my mother said defensively. "He sees opportunities others can't. Sometimes that means taking risks." "With my future," I shouted, startling even myself. "What about my vision? My opportunities?" My father's face hardened. "If you can't appreciate the importance of supporting your family's interests, if you're not as mature as we thought, go to your room until you can discuss this rationally." I stood there, 18 years old, being ordered to my room like a child. for daring to oppose having my future stolen. In that moment, something inside me shifted. A fundamental change in how I saw my family, my place in it, and what I needed to do next. Without a word, I turned and walked upstairs to my room, but instead of collapsing on my bed in tears like they expected, I pulled out my largest backpack and began packing. Essential clothes, my laptop, the emergency credit card I'd never used, and most importantly, my documents, birth certificate, social security card, passport. My hands moved with precision, my mind surprisingly clear. From my sock drawer, I pulled the $200 I'd saved from my last tutoring gig. Money I hadn't added to my college fund because I was planning to use it for Princeton supplies. Now, it would serve a different purpose. As I packed, memories rushed in. William's first failed venture, a social media app for pets. It burned $50,000. The second, some cryptocurrency coin that collapsed in 3 months. Each failure met with more support, more money, more belief, while I was told to be practical about my dreams. The doorbell rang. Through my window, I saw William's Tesla pulling into the driveway. Of course, he was here, probably to collect his next handout. Downstairs, I heard their voices, William's charming laugh, my mother's adoring tone, my father's proud hum, the picture-perfect family. Moment, complete with their perfect son. Opening my laptop one last time, I wrote 2 emails. The first, to Princeton. Dear Admissions Committee, with deep regret, I must decline your offer of admission. Due to unexpected financial circumstances, I will be unable to attend Princeton University this fall. Thank you for the opportunity. Sincerely, Catherine Montgomery. The second was for my parents. Mom, Dad, you made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Don't look for me. Don't try to reach me. I'll find my own way without the family money or the family name. Catherine. I hit send, then removed the battery from my phone. Downstairs, William was likely pitching his latest fantasy. Another $289,000 stepping stone to his imagined greatness. But for me, it was the last straw. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and looked around my room one last time. Debate trophies, science fair medals, honor roll certificates. Proof of a life spent chasing the approval of parents, who would always choose William. First, I climbed down the trellis outside my window, something I hadn't done since I was 14. My feet hit the earth softly, and without looking back, I walked away. Close to my family social circle, my first million came faster than I expected, gained from a mix of the tutoring business and clever investments in IT stocks. I lived modestly, throwing every spare dollar into expansion, while William was probably burning up my college savings on his latest business. I was developing something sustainable. Yet I knew instructing was just the beginning. With my rich clients, I began to hear murmurs about investment opportunities, startups seeking capital, established companies seeking fresh insights. I listened, I learned, and most importantly, I planned. The breakthrough came during a tutoring session with Emma Chen, daughter of tech mogul James Chen. While I tutored her in advanced economics, I noticed the investment prospectus for his company, Chen Tech Solutions, lying open on his home office desk. Dad's worried, Emma confessed during our study break. The new energy storage project is faltering, but he's invested too much to back out now. Energy storage, just like William's alleged groundbreaking. Technology. I spent that night investigating. Chentech's tech was fatally defective. And second, I learned how to fix it. It took 3 weeks to acquire a meeting with James Chen, leveraging every connection I'd built through my tutoring network. When I finally sat across from him in his corner office, he seemed amused. "Miss Morgan," he said, "my daughter speaks well of you. But what makes you think you understand energy storage technologies? I opened my laptop and began my presentation. 4 hours later, he wasn't smiling anymore. Instead, he was offering me a partnership. 30% ownership, he stated, if you can deliver what you're promising. I answered, 40, and full control of the technical advancement. He approved. 6 months later, Chentech's new energy storage system was transforming the industry. The technology William had dreamt of creating, I had actually constructed, though under a different name. And with a different firm. My net worth jumped to 9 figures, overnight. Yet I wasn't done. Using Chentech's success as a springboard, I began acquiring struggling tech companies, particularly in the energy sector. Each acquisition was done through shell corporations and holding firms, constantly keeping the name Catherine Morgan apart from the growing business empire. I hired the best lawyers and accountants to build a maze of organizations, all linked. Back to Morgan Enterprises, my hidden holding corporation. To the world, Morgan Enterprises was governed by a reclusive CEO who seldom gave interviews or appeared in public. Years passed. My empire grew. I moved from Boston to New York, to Silicon Valley, always staying ahead of any accidental run-ins with my family. Through, let's just say, discreet means, I kept tabs on them. William's streak of failures continued, each one backed by my parents' dwindling trust fund. The Montgomery family riches, built over centuries, being drained by their unwavering belief in their golden boy. Then one morning, in my San Francisco penthouse office, my assistant brought me interesting news. Montgomery Technologies is searching for investors, she said, placing a report on my desk. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. Your father is meeting with potential buyers next week. I picked up the report, a smile curling at my lips. After 10 years, everything had come full circle. Book an appointment, I said. But use the Morgan Enterprises letterhead. Let's see if they recognize the daughter they threw away. It was time to show my folks just what their practical daughter had become. The Montgomery Technologies building hadn't changed much in 10 years. Same ostentatious granite facade, same gold lettering above the gate, same security guy who never looked up from his crossword, but now, walking through those spinning doors in an Armani suit. I wasn't the naive, heartbroken girl they'd discarded. Miss Morgan? A young assistant ran up. The board is waiting in the main meeting room. May I take your coat? I handed her my coat, stifling a smirk. My mother had always believed true power wore designer clothes, and today I was wearing enough to fund one of William's failing startups. Coffee? The assistant asked. Green tea, I replied, remembering how my mother once mocked my preference. Appropriate brewing time. No sugar. The elevator ride to the top floor gave me a moment to center myself. 10 years of planning had led to this moment. Through a web of silent companies and behind-the-scenes deals, I had acquired most of Montgomery Technologies' debt. I wasn't just their best shot. I was their only lifeline. The conference room doors opened, and I almost laughed. My father, Robert Montgomery, sat at the head of the table, though not for long. My mother, Elizabeth, perched beside him, posture perfect, but eyes wary. And William, the man who burned my future, slouched in his chair, poking at his phone. Miss Morgan, my father stood, extending a hand. Thank you for visiting. We've heard fantastic things about Morgan Enterprises. I shook his hand, firmly, noting the faint tremor in his grip. So, the brilliant Robert Montgomery was nervous. Good. Please, I gestured. Let's discuss why we're here. For the next hour, I listened. Montgomery Technologies was in trouble. A $50 million cash injection needed to stay afloat. Stock plummeting. William's newest venture, another failed energy storage project, had drained the last reserves. We believe, with suitable investment, my father continued, Montgomery Technologies can return to its former glory. I opened my laptop. Graphs and timelines filled the screen. Your company's collapse began approximately 10 years ago, I said, noting their faces as they tracked the timeline. Every poor decision, lining up with reality. William squirmed. My mother's manicured. Fingers tapped the table. We took some calculated risks, my father offered. Calculated? I raised an eyebrow. Like investing $289,000 in an unproven energy storage concept? Silence. The exact amount of my stolen college fund, hanging in the air like a ghost. How did you? William started, then fell quiet. I stood, walking, to the window. Tell me, Mr. Montgomery, what would you say was your biggest mistake in business? He cleared his throat. Perhaps expanding too quickly? No. I cut him off. Your biggest mistake was sitting in this room 10 years ago, assuming she would just accept your decision and disappear. My mother paled. William's phone hit the table. My father froze. Catherine, he whispered. I smiled. Hello, Dad. Mom. William, it's been a while. William sputtered. You're Catherine Morgan? Actually, I said, returning to my seat, it's Catherine Montgomery Morgan now, legally changed. But you'd know that if you'd bothered looking for me. My mother found her voice. Sweetheart, we did try to find you. No. I cut her off. You made a few half-hearted calls, then decided I was being dramatic and would come home when I ran out of money. I turned to William. How did that energy storage tech turn out, by the way? The one you needed my college fund for? He flushed. There were complications. Funny, I said, pulling up another presentation. Because Chentech Solutions, a Morgan Enterprises subsidiary, seems to have solved those complications quite nicely. Schematics filled the screen, the system that built my empire. My father's eyes widened. You own Chentech? Among other things, I replied. I listed the companies on the screen: Chentech Solutions, Elite Academic Consulting, Morgan Global Ventures, and, as of last month, roughly 40% of Montgomery Technologies' outstanding debt. The room exploded. William stood, knocking over his chair. My mother covered her face. My father just stared. Why? He asked softly. Why not tell us who you were? I leaned forward. Because you needed to see me. Not as your daughter, but as the businesswoman you underestimated. William scowled. What do you want? Revenge? I laughed. If I wanted revenge, I'd have bought the company 6 months ago and fired you all. I stood, straightened my suit. No. What I want is to fix what you broke. My mother's voice was barely audible. What? Does that mean? I'm offering to save Montgomery Technologies. Debt restructuring, capital infusion, and technological partnership with Chentech. I paused. Let it land. But there are conditions. My father sat straighter. What conditions? First, I said, William is out. No role, no funding, no more drain. He opened his mouth, but my father's glare silenced him. Second, you and Mom retire. The company needs leadership, not legacy. And third? My mother asked. Third, I smiled. You all admit that sending me away was the best thing you ever did, because everything I built without the Montgomery name, without your help. Silence. Then, my father nodded. We do. Miss Morgan. Good. I gathered my things. Documents will be sent tomorrow. I paused at the door. Oh, and Mom? The local community college you used to mock? Turns out they're a major beneficiary of one of my foundations now.